And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Benched with Bubba, episode 817. Continuing our team by team previews to get you ready for the 2026 fantasy baseball season. And we're going to the NL East. We're going to talk some New York Mets baseball, where they've lost a few players and got a few players. It's been a bit of a roller coaster ride in the hot stove this season, but they'll always find a way to, at least they should find a way to be somewhat competitive in a very tough NL East. And help me to break it all down is a legend of the game, one might say. One time is a key word, phrase, I should say. Four main event championships this past year. We have an OC overall a couple years ago. Like, the dude just, all he does is win. It should be win time, not one time, but we know how it goes. You can find him on Twitter at @the_Gildz. Gildz, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well, Bubba. Thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, we could talk more about my wins if you like down the road. But
Oh, we will definitely talk about it, because yeah, there's a million questions I have, and I'm pretty sure we could wax poetically for quite some time. But
yeah,
before, yeah,
I'm not one to talk about myself much, so I'm just
no,
trying. I'll leave that to other people. So
you know what I'm looking forward to, though. Then we'll get to the Mets. I'm looking forward to meeting you in Vegas this year, since you did qualify for the Champions League draft. So, like, I'm pumped for that too. So.
yeah, absolutely, man. Were you at Vegas last year?
I went last year. We didn't draft. Ryan and I went and just kind of like did stuff, did a live recording, like interviewed people, like out like in between rounds and stuff. Like, it was pretty fun. Yeah, it was a cool
Okay.
deal.
Yeah, no, looking
But
forward to meeting you.
we're drafting this year. We're both doing an
Nice.
auction this year. So
Very nice.
yeah, yep. All right, let's talk New York Mets baseball here with the Gildz, big Mets fan. Before we get into the players, how'd you think 2025 went overall?
It was pretty much a disaster, man. At the end, I mean, it was such a weird season. It's such a huge, start, and Mets fans were pumped. Everything was rocking and rolling, and then they just, I mean, it was a long collapse. I mean, they played bad baseball for a good 2.5 months at the end of the season. It wasn't like a quick, like in their past years where they just tanked at the very end. This was like a slow bleed, and it was every fan could see it happening before their eyes, and it was just they still had a chance in the final game too, which made it even worse. But it was just a brutal finish, man. So
No doubt about that. And that leads us to, obviously, 2026, where the Big Meat Pete's out of town. They've made some moves, some trades, some signings, missed a couple of signings. There's just levels to what has taken place, good, bad, and ugly, around the Mets. So we'll start at the good. We'll start at the top, my friend, and we'll start with Mr. Juan Soto, who is coming off just an absolutely amazing season, where ran wild for the first time pretty much ever. 38 stolen bases to go with 43 homers, 263, 120, and 105. The question I guess I have, because we all know he's a really good player, but ADP is about 4.5 over the last couple of weeks. So you got to take him after the big three, essentially, if you want him. Where are you at on Juan Soto? Do you like him up there, or is there concerns he's not running this year?
no, I like him, man. I think he's going to be well worth a first round, top 5, top 6, top 7 pick. He's not going to steal 38 bases again. I think we all know that. But I think the idea that he's just going to revert back to, 7, 8, 9 steals is also probably wrong. I could see him probably in that 15 to 20 range, just because this dude's instincts, are off the charts. If he wants to steal a base, he can, as he showed last year. I mean, his sprint speed is what? It's pretty bad. This guy just has the natural instincts to steal, to do whatever on a base pass. So, yeah, no, I could see, the power numbers are going to be there, obviously, the runs. But yeah, I think if you draft him with 15 to 20 steals in mind, just so your expectations are kind of more in check there. Yeah, you're not getting 30 plus again, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's the big thing. If you build accordingly, you're fine. 20 sounds good. Get 35 to 40, maybe crack over 40 again would be great. But yeah, the steals is the big one there. Let's go to a player that you and I both love, and I drafted him year after year after year. He went 30, 30, 31, 31 this last year, 33, 29, 31, 31. That's pretty dang consistent. That is Francisco Lindor, who I try to find a way to get him on my team every time around if I'm in the back of the KDS system. Lindor's got an ADP of about 16.5 over the last couple of weeks. Are we still on the Lindor train? Because I don't see why jumping off, but I'll ask you.
No, I think kind of similar to Soto. It's a safe floor. The numbers are going to be there. He plays a ton. He's going to score a lot of runs. He's going to be around 25, 30 homers. The steals, again, probably, I'd count at least 20 to 25. And anything over that is nice. I know you got 30, 31 last year. The average has been up and down for the most part. He's not going to really hurt you, but he's probably in that 260 to 270 range. But yeah, this is a guy that, has that 5 category juice and can be an asset even in batting average too, depending on the year. So definitely a nice, nucleus to work around as your, second pick in the draft for sure.
For sure. So love those two. Now things get a little more fun. Your latest free agent signing, which I know you're a fan of, watching your Twitter on there, and some were joking it's the consolation prize, but you got Bo Bichette, and like there was rumors he'd signed someone to play second base. Obviously, we'll get to why that's not the case. He picked up another second baseman this year, so Bichette's going to play third base. Now you're going to have a shortstop, third base eligible Bichette this year. A guy coming off a 311 batting average, 18 homers, finished the year banged up with the knee injury, but he's good for 20 to 25 homers and a good batting average every single season. Now you're getting Bichette with an ADP of around 113, 114. Where are we at on Bichette with his first season with the Mets?
Yeah, I like him. I mean, his price is still cheap. I'm in an OC now. I mean, he didn't go probably until pick, I don't know, 120, 130 in the draft, and this is even after the news broke. So I think, heck, if he's going to be hitting behind Soto, he's probably going to be hitting third in this lineup. He's going to have a lot of, RBI opportunities. Doesn't steal. We've seen those steals kind of, fall off the map with him. So, at best, you're getting, a 4 category guy. He's going to hit you, a nice average. Homers, he's probably more 3.5 categories. I don't know what you're looking at, maybe 20-ish, Bo. But he does have that he has a 29 homer season in him, has a 24 a few years ago. So, I mean, if he hits 25 homers, hitting in the middle of that lineup with Juan Soto in front of him, I mean, he's going to return value, especially going, 130 picks into the draft. So, I mean, again, a lot of his team build specific there. I mean, if you need a guy that's going to, if you're looking for batting average help, especially in those middle rounds, he's definitely a guy that, I'd be targeting. And he's playing essentially on a 1-year contract, right? He's got the opt out after year 1, and then he gets $5 million from the Mets if he opts out, which I'm still confused how that all works, but
that's pretty good.
So essentially, it's similar to the Pete Alonso deal from 2 years ago. He bet on himself, and he opted out, and he got a big deal. So, assuming Bo's going to follow suit there.
Yeah, no, that would make sense, obviously, unless something goes horribly wrong. But and also gaining third base eligibility with that batting average upside is going to be pretty dang good.
Yeah,
with the slugs at third base.
Yeah.
All right. First big move you guys made this year is trading Brandon Nimmo to the Rangers for Marcus Semien. Seems like it was more of a control or building structure for future teams. I don't know. I'm on the outside looking in on that one. You could delve into that if you'd like. But Semien's coming off his first real season where he hasn't played much. Played 127 games. Injuries derailed a lot of it. But ADP's 250. Where are you at on Marcus Semien this year?
Oh, man. I mean, he's probably a tough buy. I mean, at that cost, nobody's really a tough buy. He's probably a good buy actually at that cost, just because he's going so late. I'm not sure what to make of him. He's been trending down obviously for a few years. With how old is he now? He's got to be up there in age too, right?
Yeah, he's going to be 35 this year.
Yeah, I mean, steals. He still stole 11 bags in 127 games last year. Maybe you get 15 bags. He's going to hit you 15 plus homers. I mean, as an MI late in a draft, I don't hate it. And you never know, change of scenery. Maybe he rebounds off the down year from last year.
Yeah, I have never been a Marcus Semien guy, and I've actually got a few shares already this year because it's like one of your initial points there. His price tag seems just so ridiculously good. It's hard to like not like what's going on there. So yeah, I've actually been in on Marcus Simeon this year and quite the fan of the price tag. Worth taking a shot, especially MI or for some reason if you just say screw second base, like it's not the worst thing in the world. You can give it a whirl. That's for sure.
And
Before we move
it's
on, yeah, what's up?
yeah, sorry, Bubba. And going back to your run prevention, that's kind of why they made the deal with Nimmo,
Okay.
right? Because Simeon's really good defensively, but then you signed Bichette, who's going to play third base and is not a third baseman. So
Yep.
it's kind of mixed signals, I guess, if you will, so far this offseason.
Yeah, eventually we'll get to the point where you have like 4 second basemen are basically playing around, or like it's interesting what's going on there. But I do want to ask you before we go farther. I should have asked at the top. So Nimmo gets traded. Big Meat Pete leaves town. Like how's do you think that overall impacts this team? I know it's a silly question because we know the impact they both have on the team, but they were replaced. We'll get into more of the replacements, but like, how do you think that actually plays out this year? I guess, or just give your Mets fan perspective for all I care.
Well, I mean, you hear a lot of rumors up here around the team that they had issues in the clubhouse, but I don't know. Pete's a quirky guy. I mean, I don't know what's true, what isn't. Nimmo, everybody loved Nimmo. Honestly, I think they after last year they just wanted to break up that core. They don't. I don't think they thought they could win with them, and especially after that just awful collapse. I think Stern just wanted to get new, fresh blood in here and just kind of mix it up.
Yeah.
As far as production, I mean, they're not going to replace Pete's production, and they haven't. And we'll talk about Polanco in a bit, but unless they're going to, make more deals, I mean, I don't know how you could look at this offense and say it's better than it was last year. It's different, but I don't think it's nearly as potent. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was kind of wondering what's going on, and we'll talk about Jorge Polanco right now. This is where I was confused. Like, okay, I get losing Pete if that's the way it was going to go, but I thought a different option potentially would have been in place for first base. Like even Mark Vientos would have been interesting. We'll get to that in a minute too. But Jorge Polanco, 26 home runs last year, played 138 games, the most he's played since 2021. When healthy, he's got pop and hits for a decent average, but the health is an issue. Maybe first base will help. ADP's 237. Does that interest you at all? Because he's got second base eligibility, will gain first base.
I mean, yeah, similar to Semien, I want to say the price is so cheap. I mean, as a backup and an MI, I don't mind him. He's healthy and he's playing, he's solid, right? It's just a matter of health with him. So it'll be interesting. Also, wasn't he struggle against lefties last year as well?
Bit, yeah. Yep.
I mean, he was sitting a lot of games. I feel like even versus lefties, right?
He'd either sit or go to the bottom of the order. He had knee issues. It was always something. It felt like with
right. Or he couldn't swing from the left side for a while. I don't know if he had an oblique or something.
He had a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not an exciting move. You know what I mean? And when you hear Jorge Polanco as your starting first baseman, I don't know many Mets fans that are like, yay, they're just like, okay. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of a Stearns guy, short-term deal. Hopefully you get 2 good years at him and then you kind of move on. But yeah, it's not an ideal replacement for Pete Alonso. That's for sure.
For sure. A guy that I thought could have slid in there and tried to do his best Pete Alonso impression would have been Mark Vientos. So we saw some gains last year. Still there's still holes. I'm not going to say they're not, but they're gains for a guy that was 25 years old last year. Pure power, a lot of other questions. Now with all the signings, like roster resource has him on the bench. Like I still think they're going to find a way to remedy that, but we'll see. I don't know where he plays. That's the problem. Mark Vientos is ADP is 265. I was grabbing a lot of Mark Vientos early, and I'm kind of concerned at the moment. So what are your thoughts on what the Mets going to do with Vientos and how that affects his fantasy appeal?
Yeah, I just don't know where the PT's coming from because you got Brett Beatty here still, so as long as Beatty's here and Vientos, I mean, I don't know if they platoon DH. You're not playing him at third, right? I mean, maybe he'll get some starts at first base, Vientos and Beatty, that is. They're going to toggle them around a little bit with Polanco, DH, first base, that kind of thing. but I mean, it's looking bleak. I just don't know where these at bats are coming from for Vientos. So I could see, him or Beatty, in a trade, somewhere before the season starts. I'd actually think Vientos would be traded before Beatty, but I could see either one of those guys go just because of the roster crunch.
No, that makes sense. And I think one of them needs to go, either go trade for another pitcher or go. There's a lot of things I guess you could mix and match and try to figure out. Maybe another outfielder because that's an issue as well potentially. So it seems like one of them needs to go because both were showing signs last year. Like Vientos started, he lowered the K rate, the power was ridiculous, and then Brett Beatty, who will slide right into 18 homers, 8 steals at 254, started to show some like promise as well. Again, these guys are like kind of higher end prospects for the Mets at one point in time. Beatty's ADP is 250. Like if he is platooning, he's the strong side at the moment, but it feels like something's got to give to your point. So is it similar to Vientos? You're just like, I can't really trust the playing time to make it fantasy viable, or at least are you interested in Beatty at 250?
I think I'm more interested in Beatty, just because I think he's definitely more versatile. We know he's not playing third. We know he's not playing second, really, right? So you might see him at first. You're going to see him DH. I heard them talk maybe left field as a possibility, just because he's pretty athletic, right? He played pretty well at second. Moving there from third last year. I think if they had to play him out on left, he'd probably be sufficient out there. But yeah, it's confusing. He's the guy that I'm most intrigued by, not in fantasy, just in real life, just to see what their plans are for him. They did come out saying that they envision him kind of in that Jeff McNeil, super util role, kind of bouncing around everywhere. But I don't know. To me, he's more, he's a bigger piece than Jeff McNeil was, right? I think to them and to other teams. So I think I'd be surprised. I think it's 50-50. He's traded. I think there's teams out there that see this situation and might want to, make a deal for him. Hold on, let me just talk. Doing a podcast with a 35-pound French bulldog, and I know that. But yeah, no, Beatty, yeah, he's the guy that is really 50-50, I think, if he's on this opening day roster. But if he is, it's going to be interesting to see what his role is, because you can't have this guy sit the bench, especially after he showed signs last year of actually, coming into that prospect pedigree finally. So, and he can't be blocked for 2 years either. So something's got to give with Brett Beatty.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like I was excited. I was drafted Beatty and Vientos wherever I could. Basically, it was both very, very intriguing, and something's got to give. It seems like Beatty. And it was weird because when the trade happened, or when they signed Bichette, I'm like, yeah, he's going to fit the McNeil role. And then that news came out. But to your point, he's not Jeff McNeil. Let's put it that way. Like that's a good thing. So
Right.
I'm really curious to see how that does pan out, and I hope it's a trade because he needs to play, like regardless. Like so, at least it brings something back that the Mets need, and everyone's happy. But time will tell on that one. Let's get to one of the guys you've always been a big fan of, and I've always been kind of cautious of it. But this draft season, I am all in. I am definitely in on Francisco Alvarez. I understand there's injury concerns, but like we're talking hit by pitches and things that just happen. Not to mention just things happen to catcher, but he was doing this by hitting as well. But yeah, you can't deny the power. The plate skills got even better this last year. Gildz, and we're talking about a guy with an ADP of like 178, 180. So you're at the very back end of like your catcher one tier, which is pretty exciting to me. So I'm in. You finally got me. It's taken a few years, but I'm liking the Francisco Alvarez thing. Should I like it, or should I be like, nope, go back to the way you were, Bubba?
No, you got to be on the Alvarez train here, man. It's funny. I just took him as my C2 in the OC, my first OC here.
That's pretty.
And yeah, I think I got him around pick 180 or something crazy like that. Yeah, I mean, it's like you were just saying, it's been like freak injuries, right? So it's something like it's kind of a bet on health here, right? If this guy plays, gets 130, 140 games, I mean, he has the upside easy to be a top 5 catcher. It's just been super unlucky over his last couple of years. We saw what he could do with his rookie year. What he had 25 homers in 123 games, huge power. Like you said, the bat skills got better last year. At times, he was their best hitter in the lineup. Came up clutch for a lot of games. So he's a big piece to that team, that clubhouse. I love him. I love his price. And definitely, that's a guy that I'm targeting as my second catcher. I will be at least in a bunch of these leagues.
Yeah, no, very, very much excited to see if he can stay at that
He's
ADP
20.
because that's
Yeah,
what I'm
he's
looking for.
he's 24 still. People feel like he's been in the league for a while now. The kid is 24. I mean, he's entering. He's not even in his prime yet. So yeah, you give me 135 Francisco Alvarez games. I'm self high fiving, Bubba.
Yep, I'm with you. We can high five over the feed. Um, outfield, outfield. This is where things get interesting. We already talked Lindor. That's the easy mark. Like there's Tyron Taylor. We know who he is. But Carson. Now, how do you pronounce the last name? Benji.
Benj,
Benj. Sorry.
Carson
So
Benj. Yeah.
Carson Benj. That's the name everyone's excited about, and for good reasons. Should we? Like, do you think this is actually a thing that can happen this year? Because right now his ADP is 365, which is outstanding if it is a thing that happens.
Yeah, I think. I mean, right now he looks to be the starting left fielder on this team. That's why I'm surprised his price is still so low. But I mean, unless the Mets make a trade or they sign Bellinger, which is still very possible, right? The Yankees looks like they're passing over Bellinger, but we'll see how that plays out. But if they don't get Bellinger, the odds are it's Carson Benj in left field. Uh, they're pretty high on him here in New York. A lot of tools. They think he's ready, right? And I think he was only one of the two or three guys that hit AAA even last year. Jet Williams is another guy we could talk about later, but yeah, they like his upside. Um, Power, speed. Very athletic kid, so it would not shock me if he's your starting left fielder opening day. But again, you got to keep an eye on this trade market and the free agent market. If Bellinger goes elsewhere, I think you're going to start seeing Benj rise up the boards a little bit because honestly, I don't know where they're going for a left fielder.
Yeah, I agree. They have nothing really at this point in time, which is terrifying. But I guess we'll have to see where the dust settles. Yeah, they're in on Bellinger. They're in on a couple other. The Mets don't sleep. It's just a matter if they'll actually maybe make a trade and get an outfield. Like there's a lot of ways that it could
Yeah,
go. But there's rumors circulating you guys 24/7. It feels like just who knows.
Stephen Kwan's another guy you hear. I mean, again, this is just New York sports talk radio here, throwing names out. But I mean, he makes sense actually. But Bellinger, to me, it's probably 50-50 right now. If you ask me right now who's starting left field, it's either Cody Bellinger or Carson Benj. That would be my guess.
Well, those are good options to have. I'll say that much. And if worst comes to worst, you can move Bellinger to center and have Carson Bench and still Tyron Taylor to go sit on the bench. It's
That's
always an
true.
option too.
Yes, no, that's probably what they would do. Actually, yeah, Bellinger in center, put this kid in left.
It'd be
Yeah.
pretty nice. Anybody else worth discussing? We talked to like is Ronnie Mauricio just a figment of our imagination? He seems like a trade piece as well at this point in time, like with everything they've been adding.
Yeah, interesting thing about Mauricio is that they kept him on the roster late last year when everyone saw how much he was struggling. But I think there was a date they had to keep him on the roster until to keep his option for this year. So by keeping him on that roster late into last season, they now kept that minor league option for this year. So they don't want to lose that. So he's likely going to start in AAA, and then they'll see how he does. But yeah, I was very high on Mauricio, man. That was one of the vintage Gildz fab boatloads wasted right there on Ronnie Mauricio. But he needs time. I mean, I think what is he, 24 also?
Yep,
He's still raw. I mean, he could not hit a breaking ball. I mean, you could see the athletic skills. The guy's freakish athletically. He needs more polishing. So I think the plan is to kind of let him develop more in AAA, and then see where he's at kind of mid-season.
Yeah, he like the talent's there to your point. It's just a matter of can he play, what's going to happen, and right now they got nowhere for him to play, so it's kind of a problem.
Yeah, he's blocked. A lot of these guys are just blocked by these short-term deals now. So
Yeah, It's a weird roster construction, but as you said, it's a Stearns plan.
Yeah.
Um, let's head to the rotation where the youth movement was large in 2025, and one big piece was Nolan McLean, who was just outstanding, dominated the minor leagues, and 8 starts at the big league level, looked like a certified, like the next, maybe this is sacred next to Grom in New York. But ADP is 95, which I love. Some people don't like taking those young pitchers early. I get it. But like the skills are pretty freaking undeniable. Where are you at on Nolan McLean this year? Like, is the price too high? Like, are there real concerns, or it's just like we're in? Let's do it.
Yeah, no, I'm in. I'm in on McLean. I'm going to try and draft as much of him as I can. Um, the innings, that's always the first thing I look at when I, you're looking at these rookies or, first year in the bigs. So between last year on the Mets and triple and double A, he threw 161 innings, right? So the volume is there this year. If they need him to throw 180 plus, he could do that, right? So to me, that checks off the first box. And then you look at the skills. The stuff is nasty. He's a top prospect. You saw it with your eyes last year. He's got ice in his veins, man. He's a gamer. Everything you want out of a starting pitcher, like a top of the rotation guy, he showed us last year. So I'm definitely high on this kid. I think, and really his numbers in the majors last year kind of mirrored everything he did in the minors. I mean, it looked like the transition was just easy for him. So that's definitely a guy I'm going to be clicking that box for this year in a lot of these drafts. And honestly, I think this is a guy that's going to be one of these high risers. So he's going in the 90s, around 100. I predict come main time, he's going in the 4th, 5th round of these drafts, top 60 pick.
Beautiful.
So
Can't wait.
yeah,
Can't wait to see people make that decision. That'll be good because I'm not disagreeing with it. I think the talent is that darn good. To your point, the volume is always concern number one with the youths, and he has it. So we should be just fine there.
yeah, he's going to be one of these helium guys. I'm telling you.
Yep, it's going to be a good
Yeah.
one. All right, now things get interesting. Let's go to Sean Manaea, who battled all kinds of injuries. He had like the elbow injury. Openers were getting used. Like strikeouts are still great. Ratios were all over the board. Underlying metrics, just people like didn't look bad. Like a million questions. He says he's fine, of course. Who knows the real answer? But his ADP is 270. So where are we at on Sean? Like the price is great, but I have no clue how that arm is.
Yeah, no, it was very weird year for him, right? Because he never recovered early on, and then he got the bone chips in his elbow, and he just pitched through that. But then you watch him in these games, he was like, it was such a start to start with him. Like he was dominant for like 3-4 innings, and then he just like melted in the 5th inning. So he'd go like 4 scoreless, and then he couldn't get out of the 5th, and his line would be like 4 innings plus, 5 earned, 6 earned, and it just looked terrible. But he just could not put it together. I think the injuries played a big role. And if you look at the projections, though, they like him, especially at that cost. Steamer has him for 150 innings at a 4.02 ERA, 125 WHIP, which is not good, but it's not terrible. 150 Ks, so we're looking at a K per 9. Yeah, I mean, again, price is always dictates value. So this is a guy I think is someone to take a chance on for sure. And if he's healthy, I think that's going to be someone that you get value out of, especially at the end of these drafts.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's why it's like, yeah, I could see yeah, it's a value. That's why I said the price is great. It's just and it was so confusing because if he looked so good in his short stints, they just never let him go. Maybe there's like just get through the year and we'll figure it out later type thing. I don't know. That's where I'm confused. The second I see him throw in spring and he's fine, I know that price is going to go through the roof again. So, like for the early drafting, go get him. To your point. So yeah, we'll have to
And
get after it, I guess.
And the Ks were there also. Even it was a small sample size, but it's 75 Ks and 60 innings. So I mean, you're getting Ks with them. It's just we got to see that ERA come way down from last year. But yeah, I mean, it definitely could see bounce back somewhere 3.75 to 4 ERA, and somewhere around 120 WHIP. With definitely in Roto, that's definitely a guy worthy of rostering, right? As an SP 6-7 kind of thing. So. again, price. That price is nice. A lot of these Mets, they're nice values.
Yeah, outside of like the big 3 or 4 hitters we talked about, everybody else pretty affordable.
Cheap.
That
Yeah.
goes that goes to David Peterson, who 30 starts last year. I'm just off the top of my head, probably led the team. Just pretty no brainer there, but
Yeah.
always had like decent. The ratios were good enough. The strikeouts were there. Like if he didn't walk guys, he was an ace. Then he had the walk. It's been his mo for years now. He's had the skills, just can't control it all the time. But again, ADP is almost 370. 370. Like he's gonna pitch if he's healthy, and at 370, he's not even an automatic starter in your lineup. Like, where are you at on him?
Yeah.
Where are you at on Peterson?
Sorry, you broke up there, Bubba. Yeah. Man, yeah, this guy, he's more of a DC play to me. I'm not really targeting him in these OCs just because, yeah, the whip is scary with him. You know, he could just lose it, right? And last year was very strange because he was an all-star, right? And then he first half he was great, and then second half he was just miserable. Like he wasn't. They couldn't even start him at the end of the year. He was so bad. Yeah, he's a strange one. I think just really as a depth piece in DCs, right, to kind of load up your back end of your rotation. He's a fine guy to pick there, but honestly, I think he is what he is at this point. I don't think you're getting any sort of SP 2, 3 upside really. I think he's more of a maybe SP 5, 6, more matchup dependent than anything. So, I mean, it's not a guy I'm targeting in these OC drafts, but definitely DC worthy.
Yeah, DC's late in the 15. I could see the appeal. He's probably more of a stream in those situations. But yeah, there's definitely something to be had there. Now things get interesting. You mentioned it was like a bizarre situation throughout the pitching this last year. Let's talk Kodai Senga because that was a situation that we saw AAA out of Kodai Senga. We saw who knows 113 starts at the Mets. Like the ERA was good, but everything said he should have been blown up. He couldn't not walk somebody. That was horrible. But his ADP's over 300 right now. Are we buying back in on Kodai Senga?
Oh man, I've been a Senga stan since the Mets got him, right? Just because that ghost pitch, the ghost fork is so nasty when he's on. Like he's unhittable. Like we've seen him even last year. Before that injury, that first. I mean, he was. I think he had the best ERA in baseball. Through like June. I mean, the stuff when he's right physically and all that. I mean, he has the stuff, and that's kind of why I think they're hesitant to even move him because I feel like if they trade him, they're just going to get fleeced by whatever team they trade him to, and then watch him, stay healthy, throw 170 innings on a different team. But yeah, I mean, again, it's all at that price. It's all upside. Sure, I take a shot at him. Why not? If he starts at the gate, he's brutal. You just drop him right at that price. So and it's all upside. In fact, I prefer him probably at that price than I would even Mania or definitely Peterson. So just because we've seen that ace, we've seen that SP1 stuff at times throughout his first few seasons. So yeah, and even as bad as he was last year, he still ended up with a 3.02 ERA, which is wild when you think how bad he was at the end. That's just how good he was in the beginning. So again, yeah, just price. There's no risk, all upside. So that's a guy, that kind of follows my strategy. So I would not be hesitant to click on Senga's name.
And it's the old saying, since he ain't cost you much, it's an easy drop if things
Exactly.
go wrong. Yeah, because I had shares of him last year too. I was with you. I was like, this is a guy, and then just
Yeah.
no control and injury concern.
Yeah. I was taking him a ton of places. He was going around pick 150, I want to say. So I was self high fiving for a good couple months there. Then it just turned bad and never got back to being good. So
Yep, it was a rough end to the process. Let's talk about Clay Holmes, who corrected me. He has 31 game starts, so he beat David Peterson on this one. Strikeouts are kind of a mediocre thing, but ratios it's a poor man's Kodai Senga is what it turned into last year. When things were all said and done, His ADP, on the other hand, is like 350, so about 50 picks after Kodai Senga. I just can't do it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and it's funny that he's the one that ends up having the most starts in the rotation, right? That was the question going in, was like, how long can he last? Can he even be a starter? And sure enough, he was their most reliable starter pretty much from start to finish last year. I don't know. Where's he going, Clay?
About close to 350.
I mean, it's another guy. Yeah, I mean, just all these Mets pitchers, man. There's no investment. It's all upside at these prices. I don't think the upside isn't there, right? I mean, the Ks, he's not giving you much Ks. The ratios are, good ERA. The whip was kind of ugly. I mean, he had some brutal games too, where, when Holmes is off, like you saw that very early in games, you're like, if he gets us through, 4 innings, it'll be a miracle. So, yeah, again, he's not really a guy I'm targeting, but if I, just need an arm end of the draft, sure, why not? But again, probably more of a DC play and maybe, end of a main event kind of thing. But OCs, yeah, I'm not really looking. There's not enough ceiling in my eyes.
Yep, he's definitely a 15/DC situation. This probably could have been held for the prospects. I'm going to bring it up now because you got this rotation that's got a lot of question marks. And then you also we saw the youth movement last year. We already mentioned McClain, who's locked in as the ace. But you had Jonah Tong. He has an ADP of 315. Great in the minors. The stint in the bigs was up and down. You had Brandon Sproat, ADP of almost 530. And then Christian Scott will be back. He's got an ADP around 515. Any interest in these guys? Are kind of like, what do you expect out of these guys? I think an injury has to take place, it seems like. But like Tong, Sproat, Scott, any interest in these guys?
Yeah, not in redraft. No, honestly, I think barring a Kodai Senga trade, I think the rotation looks like it's pretty much set, right? So, I don't foresee. I mean, maybe they go in a trade somewhere, before the season starts. Maybe package one of them with Beatty. There's been rumors here trying to get like a Jaron Duran or something, or I don't even know. I know that there's still eyeing Luis Robert, right? So I don't know if one of those arms is probably too much to even include for him, but I think it's very much in the air still. These guys are actually Mets come opening day, even in the minors. If they are in the Mets organization, they're going to be starting in AAA though.
Yeah, no, that's kind of. I figure you're starting in AAA. It seems like it'll be like last year. Injuries will take place. That's the only time we see these guys because they all came up at once. It felt like last year, and then I don't know where that dust settles. But one of them in a trade with Beatty makes sense, and Jaron Duran would not suck in that scenario.
No, that would be a nice trade, I think, because the Mets definitely need that center fielder. But they are. I mean, you've heard rumors for Luis. I honestly think. I know I said Bellinger or Benj. I could see Luis Robert in that mix too, just because they've been tied to him. I don't think his cost is going to be much. I think he's got 1 year, $20 million left. I mean, that's right up David Stern's alley. You might not have to give up any of these, top prospects, and you still get the player. So I guess we'll see what he does.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the Lou Bob stuff, it's like, man, someone just needs to finish the trade because it keeps getting rumored year after year after year, and needs to happen to make that one work. So that wraps up the starting rotation. Let's head to the bullpen where, last year or the last few years, you've had Edwin Diaz. He's out of town. You guys traded for Ryan Helsley, but that didn't work well. Now you got a new sheriff in town, Devin Williams, who was one of the best closers in baseball for a few years. Struggled in his first year with the Yankees last year, but did look better towards the end of the season. Like actually, like almost old Devin Williams-esque in that one. Now, obviously, closing prices are inflated right now. Williams has an ADP of 45. He's like the fifth, sixth reliever off the board. Where are you at on Devin Williams with his first year with the Mets?
Yeah, I like him. I like his price. People forget how dominant he was right before last year, right? Like it was basically what? Diaz, Hader, Devin Williams. Those were the top closers in baseball. he was at the top of a very short list. So, I know last year kind of soured a lot of people on him. He went through a rough stretch with the Yankees, but like you said, his numbers under the hood looked a lot better than the results. So I don't think it's crazy if he ends, as another top 3 closer. And it wouldn't shock me if he even out earns Edwin Diaz. Just because, I don't know, Mets have had good success with these ex-Yankees, good park, should be a competitive team. There's not really anyone that's going to, take that role from him, I don't think, especially how they're constructed now. So I don't know. I think his leash is long. I think he's pretty secure. They paid him a lot of money. So, yeah, no, this is a guy I think one of the safer closers available right now in drafts.
Yeah, I love Devin Williams. I was a little overly optimistic last year. I had him as my, I think, reliever 1. Had a lot of shares that did not end well, of course, because I was still believing in the skills. I still believe in the skills, so I think he's a very nice 5th guy off the board, and you could do a lot worse than Devin Williams. They picked up Luke Weaver, which is a nice consolation if something were to happen to Devin Williams. So you're sitting pretty there
Yeah,
in the back end of that bullpen.
yeah, and he'd be the guy, right? So if something happened, he gets hurt. But I mean, I don't think he's draftable, at least in any of these, OCs. But in case something happens to Devin, they do have at least Weaver, who has experience closing. But no, Devin Williams is the guy for the Mets, so they're gonna treat him as such, and he's gonna be, their main closer, workhorse when they need him to close out games. It's gonna be Devin Williams. So definitely a guy, at his price, I like a lot, and definitely has that upside. He has that top 2, 3 closer upside for sure.
100%. All right, that takes us to prospects. I already kind of mentioned the starting pitchers, of course. You mentioned Jet Williams. You can bring him up if you want. Any prospects we could potentially see? We already talked about Benj. Anybody else out there?
Honestly, I really just think it's Jet Williams is probably the closest after Benj. But again, he's more of a shortstop, second base. He did play some center last year. So I don't know if they were trying to get him more exposure out in the outfield. It would not shock me if he played center field at some point this season for the Mets. But yeah, honestly, I think it's him and Benj. I don't really see Clifford. I don't think did he hit AAA last year? Ryan Clifford.
I
I
was
think he'd
looking
be
into him.
I think he'd be the next. I think he'd be the next
Yeah,
closest guy. AJ Ewing is still
yeah.
far
He
away.
played
I think
34.
he's one of the
Yeah, 34 games at AAA last year.
Clifford.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So those would be the 3 guys I think that could make an appearance on this year's roster. AJ Ewing is, I think, one of their top prospects, but I think he's a ways away still. So it's really those stud pitchers, or what we hope are stud pitchers, and Jet Williams, and then Carson Benj. Those are kind of the big names I think that'll make an impact this year at some point.
beautiful. All right, last question I have for you then. What are your expectations for 2026? I know there's still probably a move or two that'll take place before the start of the season, but what are our expectations here?
Oh man, well that's the kind of thing. I don't think this roster is a finished product by any stretch. I think there's a good 2 to 3 more moves that are going to be made. I don't see how he's going to go into the season with the same pitching rotation after what we saw last year. I just don't see it. They're going to make a trade. They might have to package some of these prospects. I think Bellinger, like I said, is very. He's on the table. You might see, some sort of trade for Quan, Jaron Durant. There's going to be at least 2 to 3 more impact moves, because I think he sees what we all see. This team, as constructed right now, is, I don't know, 82, 83 wins, something like that. So right now, yeah, the aura around this Mets team, at least in these parts, is not too positive. So I would say wait and see. We're still mid-January. If this team is still this team in another month, on February 19th, I'm going to be pretty down, just because, after losing a couple of these key guys, we needed more improvements than what they've done so far. So as currently constructed, I don't know if you agree or not. I think they're 82, 83 wins,
Hmm.
but they definitely need some reinforcements on both sides, pitching and offense.
Yeah, they're going to need to definitely get so that rotation can't be the one that goes into the season,
Oh,
as you said. And offensively, the outfield, like Tyrone Taylor is a fourth outfielder at best. He should not be your everyday
oh
outfielder.
gosh.
That's just reality of the situation. So, like you said, there's a couple moves still yet to be made on this squad. And if those moves get made, like literally, like we said, a prospect pitcher and Beatty, it's easy for us to say, but go get Duran. Like they want to get rid of him. This package helps them. Like on paper this should work, but obviously there's more to that. But yes, a few more moves because the Phillies will still be good. The Braves always have the ability to be good, but they find the banana peel the last couple of years, so it's still a very tough division out there.
I'm looking now. They actually have him over under is 86 and a half. This team, as it's constructed right now, is not winning 86, 87 games. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I'm
So
guessing Vegas sees the same thing we see though. Like they're not
yeah,
done. Like
yeah,
we can't
they're not
set that line lower and get burned on it. So,
right. Yeah, so I guess they're anticipating some changes because right now, if that stays the same and this team stays the same, yeah, you want to bet the house on the under, which
yep,
is,
agreed. So we'll see. Time will tell. We got 2 months till opening day. Basically, we got 3 weeks till pitchers and catchers. A lot is going to change
a lot.
this off season. So
Don't rule out Scooble. That's you're starting to see those discussions pop up again, especially after I read that arbitration hearing
yep,
didn't go as well, and I don't think Scooble's side. Boris is happy. Boris is his guy, right? Yeah.
yeah, more
Um,
yes. Yep.
so I don't know if they're bitter a little bit towards the Tigers. So you might start seeing those conversations tick up again.
Yeah, I saw that article today, and I'm like, yep, just anywhere but the Dodgers, please.
Oh my
Anywhere,
gosh.
please. Like, just don't do it because they have the prospects to do it. Is the crappy part. Like, they
Uh,
could do
Dude, if
it.
he goes to the Dodgers, forget it. I mean,
Yeah,
the lockouts happening like 98% that, then it would just be 100% if
yeah.
that
Like anybody but the Dodgers, please. Just let's not do this again.
happened.
But all right, man. Always an absolute pleasure to chat with you. Talk some Mets. We'll have you on in a month or so to talk some draft season action as we get rolled. You'll probably be like 5 OCs in or something by then. We'll see. But
Yeah,
always a pleasure. I appreciate you joining me, man.
absolutely, Bubba. And I'm a big fan of yours. So just keep on doing what you're doing, and I appreciate you having me on.
We'll do. And yeah, we'll get you on again. We'll talk some more. Always love chatting with you. Everybody check him out on the Twitter at @the_Gildz if you aren't for some reason. But this was Benched with Bubba, episode 817. Catch y'all next time.